On to our top story this hour, Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane has failed to make an appearance at an inquiry into her fitness to hold office this morning. Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services voted on the matter last year. Ms. Mkhwebane has been in the firing line over her controversial decisions since assuming office. She particularly drew the ire of many when she ordered Parliament to change the mandate of the Reserve Bank as part of her remedial action on the ABSA Bancorp report. Ms. Mkhwebane is accused of breaching the principle of the separation of powers. MP wanted Ms. Mkhwebane to appear before the committee next week. And joining us in studio now is Ms. Mkhwebane herself. Public Protector, a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this interview.
Well, more of a chat, but let's call it an interview.
Yes.
Let's start with what happened today. Your appearance to appear before the Portfolio Committee has caused quite some backlash, with them saying that your reason for not coming is merely a flimsy excuse, rather. What's your reaction to such?
Let me start by saying, as a Chapter 9 institution, in terms of the Constitution, I'm expected to report to National Assembly about the activities of the Public Protector and the performance of my functions once a year. And since I've started in October 2016, I've appeared before the Portfolio Committee 5 times. It was the first time where I requested that I couldn't make it because I had an urgent family commitment. And again, I received a letter on the 1st of June requesting that I appear before the committee and to discuss the rules in terms of the Public Protector Act, which were tabled with the Speaker in April already, and also to discuss the policy of appointing a special advisor in my office, of which as well the Speaker was informed the 22nd of March 2018. And the agenda was to discuss those two. I'm surprised when now there's this issue that I failed to appear, especially an inquiry on my fitness to hold office. I thought that is for their own deliberations. But again, I was only going there to discuss those two issues. I've never refused to appear before Parliament, and I've been cooperating within the constitutional requirements to appear before the Portfolio Committee. Actually, hence I'm saying that it's only once, in fact twice a year, where I'm going to present my strategic document and where I'm going to present the annual performance plan of the institution. But then they've been calling me, they've called me twice and I've appeared. And I think the 6th of March, I only discovered on the news that I'm expected to appear. They gave me the items. I wrote to them to inquire, can you give me more details, because it was like anything which is reported in the media. So I think it's a challenge which I'm still trying to find a way of working closely with the Portfolio Committee.
There's also been questions coming from that Portfolio Committee on why then you couldn't send a representative from your office, namely your deputy.
Yes, I'm surprised by that, because if the invitation letter is saying I'm going to discuss the rules, which is something which is not delegated to the Deputy Public Protector, and secondly, the issue of the appointment of the special advisor, it's a policy which is approved by the Public Protector within her discretion in terms of the Public Protector Act. So hence, I expected to appear before the Portfolio Committee. And again, I'm surprised why the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee didn't inform the members of the Portfolio Committee that I wrote a letter to him after appearing on the 17th of April, where they were insisting why the Deputy Public Protector is not helping the office. I explained to him why certain delegations were removed from the Deputy Public Protector. I mean, that letter was sent on the 18th of May. So I don't understand why this was such a very serious issue, as if I've snapped the portfolio committee, and I wouldn't do that. And the critical issue is, I think we need to be focusing on the delivery of my services to the communities, the public protector services to the public. And am I failing in any way? No. And again, if they are busy insisting on this issue of the CX report, which we've deliberated I don't know how many times on that particular matter, and now what else to answer? And I've indicated that that matter I've petitioned the Supreme Court of Appeal and as well the direct access to the Constitutional Court on that particular issue.
So that particular issue is still pending?
It's still pending in court, and now it's worrisome, because when I appear before the portfolio committee, you find that whatever I answer on, or the questions which are being asked, then you find those answers in some of the affidavits of the opposition parties. I mean, currently as well, the Reserve Bank is opposing the petitioning of to the Supreme Court of Appeal, and in their affidavit they are mentioning things which are mentioned at the portfolio committee. So to me, it's like now I'm being called to the portfolio committee, especially by some of the portfolio committee members, just to get the inside of the case, because that matter is pending before court, and as well the Vrede matter is pending before court. CASAC and DA, they've taken the matter on review, and I don't know why I must go there and continuously respond. And I've indicated that borders around the issue of interfering with the performance of my duties, because I'm expecting the committee to support the work of the public protector as a Chapter 9 institution. I mean, the Constitution is very clear that no one, no organ of state and no one must interfere with the public protector in the performance of her functions.
But now, ma'am, moving on to those cases that you just mentioned, those cases and how you compiled those reports have brought your integrity and your competency into question. And I'm sure you've heard about the calls from the DA and Corruption Watch to bring you, to question your fitness to hold office, as well as ALTA has spoken out, calling for you to step down because of this CX report. And I know that what they said was that it shows that you are biased. And what is your response to all those talks out there calling for you to step down because of how you conducted your
you know, it's very interesting that they will only mention those two reports. I mean, out of all the reports which I've issued, and questioning my competence based on that. And again, it will be interesting to determine what is it, like the incompetency which they are referring to, because those two matters are before court. Why rush in this particular process? Why can't we give another a higher court an opportunity to ventilate the issues? And I must say as well that it's so unfortunate that the CX matter, the burning issue now is those allegations that I was biased, but then the gist of the matter, or the content of the illegality of that transaction, no one wants to talk about it. And the fact that that remedial action regarding the mandate of the Reserve Bank, I agreed to set aside that particular remedial action. Unfortunately, the court went ahead to hear that particular matter. So it's very interesting, or again, it's concerning that you'd find institutions which are supposed to help me in fighting corruption, and they are busy against me in dealing with the issues of corruption. Because if that transaction was illegal, why are they not helping that we deal with that particular issue? So you judging me on only two cases and you saying I have not performed my function within or with integrity. Only 2 cases. And to think that, I mean, the work of the public protector, it's involving 90% of work it's bread and butter issues, and we're helping members of the public with their service delivery challenges. And we've changed lives of South Africans, and we're still continuing to do that. And for starters, the public protector is a Chapter 9 institution. I'm there to support and strengthen constitutional democracy. Why am I being then subjected to something like this, where I would expect the Portfolio Committee, Parliament, and everyone to be supporting this institution so that I can perform my duties?
Now, ma'am, one last question before we bring in our other guests on the show. We've got a constitutional analyst, Dr. Guto. We also have Ben Theron from Alta, who will be joining us later on as part of this conversation. But what I'd like to ask is, how now are you planning on going in protecting yourself against these calls, and defending yourself, rather, against these calls for you to step down based on these 2 very high-profile cases that you've released?
As I've indicated that the 2 matters are before court. Why can't we give the court process to be brought to finality in these particular matters? Why one arm of state is interfering it's like interfering in another arm of state, but because this matter is before court. In fact, both matters, the Vrede matter and the other one. And the Vrede matter, we've availed all the records, and it shows that everything has been done according to law. And the investigation was completed in 2015. I've said this several times. And that matter, it was for me just to take it and make sure that we bring it to finality after the complaint was raised that this matter has been pending for a long time. And on that matter, the Portfolio Committee, the last time, they indicated that they would want me to investigate the politicians which were involved there. So that matter is being investigated, and I don't know why this issue. My concern again is that, I mean, I was just invited to discuss 2 issues, and this has happened even in the previous meeting where I was invited to discuss the issue of financial challenges and the issue of the Vrede matter. But then when I arrived there, then the discussions took another turn. I don't understand why the Portfolio Committee is not open and frank to me that we are calling you, we have this letter from the Speaker, we will be discussing it, we would want to hear the side of your story before we decide whether the ad hoc committee be constituted to deal with your issues of competency. Hence I'm saying, or incompetency. So hence I'm saying that that was not the issue. Hence, I decided that I request the postponement to be able to deal with my family emergency.
Now, ma'am, in light of the State Capture Commission coming in August, you understand how the public is very interested in how you dealt with the Estina Dairy Farm report, and I'd like us to just delve deeper into your report. Now, we know that CASAC has leveled unhappiness about the way you conducted it. One of the issues they've brought forward is that you removed certain people from the report that were initially part of that report. Can we just start with the response to that? Was actually this the case?
You know, it's very interesting for CASAC, again, an institution which is said to be protecting the Constitution, to say something like that. And they are also having legally qualified people. Who is the HOD of, in fact, the previous HOD? I've mentioned the title of the person who was occupying the post there, and it's known fact that is Mr. Tabete, who was served with a Section 7(9) notice because he was implicated for him to respond. And if I say the Premier must also investigate all other officials who were involved in this transaction, if it means the CFO, the legal advisors, and everyone who took part in that particular report, they should be investigated. And it's so interesting that that report is being implemented, those remedial action, that HOD was suspended whilst they were busy with the disciplinary process, but apparently his contract ended. The others have been, the disciplinary process has been initiated. So, you know, I don't know how to respond to you when you find an institution like this, then questioning, and you've taken the matter on review. Again, you're taking it into the media space for it to be deliberated there. You know, we've got the rule of law in this country, we've got the courts, and I think we need to respect the courts and make sure that issues are ventilated properly instead of just publishing stories like that, as if the creating that doubt on the institution. Because it's not about Busisiwe Mkhwebane. That is a constitutional institution which is there to protect South Africans. So the way it's being treated, unfortunately, there are people whose lives depend on that institution. And hence I said we've changed people's lives, and drastically so, and they can enjoy this democracy we're speaking about. But now we are busy perpetuating just these stories of the two cases. And again, I've agreed that where politicians are involved, definitely, if there is corruption related, I will initiate the investigation has been initiated, and then we are busy investigating that. At the end of the day, everyone will have to be dealt with if they have been implicated. So there's no such thing.
All right, ma'am. 18 months, 7 years into your 7-year term. How has it been?
It's been challenging, but I must say that the challenges which I'm experiencing will never be, will never be rubbished by these few issues which are being mentioned. What I can say is that I receive comfort and consolation when I see a smiling face of a person who has been struggling to get employment because they've got a wrongful criminal record, and that is being dealt with, where a person who's been struggling to get an ID because their ID has been a duplicate for years, their life was stuck, and then that person gets their ID, they can apply for work, or they can also open a bank account. So for me, is the satisfaction I get with the staff in the office, where we are able to assist members of the public. So it's so unfortunate as well that we can then be judged by only these two reports, which are before court. And I wonder why now one arm of government is just then pushing to interfere into what is before the court. On the state of capture inquiry, we've handed over all the records. And again, there are issues which I've indicated that they were lodged after, when the matter was before court, the judicial review of the state of capture. So those matters have been referred again to Deputy Chief Justice Zondo. They still relate to ESCOM, they still relate to Transnet, and especially revolving around the issues of the state of capture. There's also one from Sanko. I think they've also, you've interviewed them, where they were saying they welcome that. I've referred that matter to them. So there are other matters which, even if they are not related to the state of capture of the commission, but they have elements of relating to the state of capture, because there's also clause 1.4 of the terms of reference, where it relates to any other matters relating to the state of capture, which we've referred to the commission. It relates to the capture of SARS. So that matter is also one matter which will need the Commission of Inquiry to deal with, especially because of our challenges with the resources as an institution. And if you've got a state of capture which can deal with those issues, it will help for them to offload the workload from us.
Ms. Mkhwebane, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, that was Public Protector Ms. Mkhwebane, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, speaking to us following her failure to appear before Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services.